With the final shape pretty much being over and Echo's Act 2 out now, there are plenty of new guns, new metas, and new ways to play the game, so it's time to do another top 10 most used weapons in Echo's Act 2. All of this information was gathered through the Destiny Tracker website, so shout out to them. The website calculates and lists the weapons in most popular by usage, so obviously let's get into the list. Starting off with number 10, we have the Dragon's Breath. Now the Dragon's Breath is overall just one of the best, easiest of use rocket launchers in the entire game, and it works extremely well in any seasonal activity, and it does some decent damage to bosses. The way this weapon works is you leave it in your inventory stored away, and it will slowly build up fuel up to 5 stacks. When you do shoot this gun, it's going to put that fuel all over the battlefield, making fires. Any enemies that walk into this fire is going to get scorch stacks and will eventually ignite. The best way to use this gun is to aim for the boss and stick the boss, and it's going to over and over ignite the boss, causing massive damage, and obviously doing AoE damage, killing enemies around the boss as well. This gun will automatically reload when it's stowed away once it's reached max fuel stacks, so it's a very easy weapon to use. Moving over into number 9, we have the Still Hunt. Now the Still Hunt has definitely dropped down this list as it was up in the top 3 just a few weeks ago. Now this is probably something to do with the exotic being new, and now obviously this exotic isn't brand new, so players are finding other ways to use different weapons and possibly do more damage. However, the Still Hunt is still one of the best weapons to use if you're a hunter main, especially if you're trying to do some nuke boss damage and you have the Celestial Nighthawk helmet. With the new artifact perk Sniper's Meditation, this makes Still Hunt even better than what it was before, so I dare say the Still Hunt will go up in popularity over the next coming weeks. Overall, the Still Hunt is just a great exotic, and you should definitely be using it, especially if you're trying to kill the Witness. Moving over into number 8, we have the Apex Predator. Now the Apex Predator is renowned as still one of the best legendary rocket launchers in the game because it's craftable and quite easy to obtain. Not to mention, it also has all of the perks you want on a rocket launcher and also the best frame, putting the Apex Predator in the S tier category. As for the gold roll, there is plenty of options here. You can go for a reconstruction and bait and switch, which is just average overall one of the best rolls you can get. If you're looking to do massive burst damage or a witness kill, you can go reconstruction and explosive light, meaning you have a little bit less setup to do with the gun. Either way, the Apex Predator is still one of the best rocket launchers in the game, and I assume pretty much every player should have this gun by now, and if you don't, you should definitely work on getting it, as it is still one of the best rocket launchers in the game, and probably will stay there. Moving on to number 7, we have the Pro Memoria. Now the Pro Memoria is one of the new machine guns in the game that came in with the final shape. It's also craftable, and you can purchase it right now from your Ghost in the Pale Heart. Overall, this is one of the best machine guns in the game, and it is also craftable. All of these weapons have a origin perk Dealer's Choice, which basically grants you extra super energy depending on how many weapons you have from the Pale Heart equipped. Equipping multiple weapons will increase this effect, giving you massive super energy, so people are just equipping the Pro Memoria in their heavy slots while using something like the Call to get extra super energy. Not to mention the Pro Memoria can roll with some amazing perks as well. In the first column, you can get perks like Envious Assassin, Reconstruction, Demolitionist, or Hatchling, and in the second column, you can get a perk like Desperate Measures, Target Lock, Frenzy, Dragonfly, and even Bait and Switch. All these perks are great options, and it's all up to you on what you want to craft your weapon with. Coming in at number 6, we have the Sunshot. Now the Sunshot is still one of the best hand cannons in the entire game if you want to use a hand cannon for any content in the game. Its exotic perk Sunblast is just extremely good. It's basically an incandescent and firefly all combined together. You shoot an enemy, they get scorch stacks. Once they die, they're going to then explode. Overall, this gun is completely busted, and it is still one of the best guns in the game. Bungie tried to nerf this gun, but it's still very effective, and I would definitely be using it in any activity that I can. The Sunshot is the Sunshot. Everyone knows about it, there's not much more to say here. Jumping up here into the top 5 most popular weapons, in number 5 we have the Aberrant Action. Now this is the brand new rocket solar sidearm that has come out this season with Echo's Act 2, and this weapon is completely busted and everyone is loving it. Just like every other rocket sidearm in the game, this weapon is just as good, and it is even solar. Arguably one of the best effects for a weapon to have is solar. Now I'm surprised this weapon isn't up there in the top 3, but hey, top 5 is still very good, and this weapon has an amazing perk pool that you can choose from. In my opinion, I love using Heal Clip and Incandescent, but there's still plenty of other perks to go through. Ambitious Assassin is great. Beacon Rounds is great. In the second column, the new perk Reverberation is also amazing, and Demolitionist is also good. paired with golden tricorn as well, this weapon just has every perk you could think of. If you like the call and the Indebted kindness, there is no reason why you shouldn't like the Aberrant action. It is just as good, and you should definitely get this one crafted as soon as possible. Coming in at number 4, we have the Graviton Lance, or what I like to call it, the Gravy Train. Everyone knows what the Graviton Lance is. This thing is one of the best pulse rifles in the game. Just a few seasons ago, this thing got a 75% damage buff, and ever since, this weapon has been one of the best pulse rifles in the game to use. Its exotic perk cosmology basically means that whenever you kill something with this weapon, they explode in a massive void burst, and then they send out more void seekers that do even more damage to more enemies. If you compare this weapon with volatile rounds as well, this thing is completely unstoppable, and this is one of the best weapons in the entire game, and you should definitely be using it if you're a void subclass, or just in general, you should be using the Graviton Lance. There's not much more to say about this gun. You know what it is, you should definitely be using it, and it's pretty obvious why it's up here in the top 4 weapons. Coming in at number 3, we have the Outbreak Perfected, which is obviously another weapon that is definitely deserving of a spot up here. With its brand new craftable form and the ability to get rewind rounds on one of the best guns in the game, this weapon is completely unstoppable. With the Outbreak Perfected being the best primary damage weapon to use for any bosses once you run out of, heavy or special ammo, this weapon should always be in your inventory, ready to pull out once you run out of ammo when you're killing bosses. If you don't even have any good damage dealing weapons, just use the Outbreak Perfected, it will do some serious damage. Not only is this the highest primary damage dealing weapon, it is also arguably one of the best weapons to use in any Grandmaster Nightfall as well. With anti-barrier pulse rifles in the Artifact mod, this is one of the best reasons why you should be using the Outbreak Perfected in GM Nightfalls. Overall, this is just an amazing weapon, and you should definitely go and get it crafted from the Legendary Mission if you haven't already. Coming in at number 2, we have the Indebted Kindness, and this is no stranger to anyone here. Rocket Sidearms are the best guns in the game right now, and you should definitely be using them in any loadout or any scenario in Destiny 2. With there now being 3 Rocket Sidearms in the game of all elementals, the Indebted Kindness is Arc, the Indebted Kindness is obtainable through the Warlord's Ruin dungeon, and in my opinion, the gold roll is Vault Shot and Lead from Gold. Vault Shot is realistically the best perk on this gun, and it is all you really need. If you pair it with something like Lead from Gold or even Beacon rounds, it makes it a little bit better, but Vault Shot is all you really need. Realistically, there isn't much more to say about the Indebted Kindness. This gun has been in the game now for a few seasons, and everyone knows what it is, and I assume everyone has their gold roll of this gun, and they are no stranger to the Indebted Kindness. And honestly, you can say very similar things about the number 1 most used weapon in the game, and it is obviously the Call. The Call has been the most used weapon in Destiny 2 since the final shape was released. This weapon is arguably the best rocket sidearm out of all 3 of them because it goes in the kinetic slot, leaving the other slots spare. In my personal opinion, most of the best guns in the game go in the energy weapon slot, and most of the lesser used weapons go in the kinetic slot. So with the Call being in the kinetic slot, this allows you to use some of the best guns in the game in the energy weapon slot, making the Call one of the best rocket sidearms in the entire game. In my opinion, the gold roll on this weapon is Demolitionist and Golden Tricorn. However, there are still plenty of perks that you can choose from if you don't like either of these perks. Just like every other rocket sidearm in the game, there isn't much more to say about this gun. It is overall just one of the best weapons in the game, and you should definitely get it crafted as soon as possible. But anyway, guys, that will wrap the video up there. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, comment down below, and all that other fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.